Today's architecture rundown, we review past guest Jose Moreno's architectural thesis. I'm Chris Crisito.
And I'm Ramses Serrero. And funny story, Jose and I actually were part of the same thesis studio that did this project in Italy. So I'm pretty excited to hear his presentation once again.
Yeah, nice to have you. Well,
good having you back, man.
I'm the host now. I'm the host. This thesis was pretty interesting. You know, we got the opportunity to fly over and spend 4 months in Genoa, Italy, which is pretty different from the other studios. It's pretty difficult going into a project and not knowing the context of a city. So I think this was a great exercise into learning the fabric of Genoa and what makes Genoa Genoa. So moving forward, this is Genoa in the early 1600s, I believe. And as you can tell, this is a large structure that inspired upcoming events in Genoa itself. This gives you a better picture of the mountainous region that Genoa is. So towards the left bottom, you have that tower, and that is the original sea barrier that sailors would dock to in Genoa. And that was primary source of income for the city. A lot of money and wealth was brought through those ports. And it is why specifically Genoa became one of the richest cities in all of Italy, which is something that I wasn't aware of. I don't think people, when they think of Italy, they think of Rome, they think of Venice, they think, the major cities. So this shows that Molo area, which currently is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's protected, and that is where the main focus of the project entails. So these are some contextual pictures of Genoa itself. And this is specifically the Molo, which we're designing on. And the Molo is a response to, expanding the seaport. If you take a look at it here, within this image, there's no island. So a man-made island was constructed in order to bring cruise ship industries and a lot of commercial space. These are some of the precedents that we looked at while we were traveling through Europe. So we had to balance designing our projects, visiting different cities, taking a look at a lot of interesting and important precedents during our trips. Specifically in the Bocconi campus, I think it was important to look at the negative and positive space that it created. We got to look at the therme valves, and I think it was an important project to look at the relationship between planes and lighting. And this is the Kunsthaus in Bergens. I think this was an important study on facades and how it works, the construction of it. And of course, the Yokohama Port Terminal, that's a precedent that I had looked at in person when I went on another study abroad trip in Japan. And it actually is a port terminal. So going back to the thesis, we were tasked with specifically designing a cruise ship terminal, and it was supposed to be within this Molo. So that island is what I was speaking about earlier, where the elevated seawall now is connected directly towards it. And this is a better picture. So you see that structure, that little island, that is where our site is focused on. So if you take a look at that rounding curve line, that's the Soprata Elevata, which is the elevated highway. and that is your main entry point from the airport in general, you know. And it goes back to that idea of that picture from the 1600s of that large structure that is basically kind of like a barrier for the entire city itself, right? So if you take a look, you see this is the proposal which I had for my project, which was, you know, replicate a large structure that would now connect towards the original seawall. And in cruise ship design, it's very important because you have a program. It's a very specific program. It's similar to airport design to a certain degree, because you're bringing in thousands of people, and then you have to essentially section them off and be able to transport them and facilitate circulation to the city. So generally, a boat like a cruise like this has 3,000 passengers, and then you have obviously your crew members, or a portion of them. So maybe a third of them is crew, and the whole process of cruise ship egress and circulation, it's a very quick process. You don't want people to, all 3,000 of them, wait in a line. Obviously that's not what we're trying to do. So if you see, hold on, sorry about that. So this section, I think, represents the circulation in a pretty clear example. So on the ground floor, you have a lot of public space, which is the plazas that are created underneath that structure. Then on the second floor, that is where you dock from the ship. You enter through a gangway, which is a temporary structure in front of the facade closest to the water. And then you filter through that building. You have now the choice to either stay on the second level and walk through all of the program, which, you know, includes commercial space, residential use, or even the linear park, which is designed on that second floor. Or you can now go to the ground floor. You have to go through security, because again, this is a project where you're dealing with people that are coming from either other countries, and, you know, you have to go through those clearances. So again, these are some of the images. This is what the ground would create, you know, a lot of public spaces. And then this is the view from the ship side. And again, so during the process of embarking and debarking, this side of the facade, like the ship side, it would be sectioned off due to security purposes. So that was another reason why to elevate and have people still have that option to view the sea on that elevated structure. So you see that's the main circulation from the second floor to the ground floor, where you were able to move throughout. And yeah, this is the embarking and debarking processes. You know, it's pretty straightforward. It's a quick process. And these are the waiting areas. So again, the idea was to, you know, since it's a transient space, obviously the cruise ship industry isn't working Monday through Sunday, so it's a very temporal space use. And the idea was to, you know, have that large gathering area where it can, you know, now become either an auditorium, a viewing area for the general public of Genoa. And now that they have access to this structure, as you can see, I was trying to resemble the landscape so that the buildings itself are integrated within the mountain ranges of Genoa. And I think it's important to look at the circulation that I was trying to achieve, because you now have people filtering out, these thousands of people, and they're able to engage with the commercial program and the residential use, and attract a lot more people, because currently the Molo itself, it's very isolated in Genoa. If you take a look back at the city itself, it's a very dense, tight, narrow setting, and you have the Molo, which is this. Although it looks dense from this aerial view, it's a very barren site. It's huge. There's really nothing to do on this site, so people don't generally tend to congregate in these areas. So I think that was something that I was trying to achieve within my thesis.
Nice, man. Thank you.
Thank you, man. I mean, you know how I feel. I think your project is a very successful project. And to give everyone kind of like a quick summary to add on to the things that you were saying. So our thesis wasn't necessarily to like redefine the typology of a cruise terminal, but like Jose said, we had to kind of integrate different type of programs that would typically not be part of a cruise ship terminal. As he said, it wouldn't be operating 7 days of the week, but about 3 days of the week, I believe.
Yeah.
So I think that he's done a very successful job at kind of mimicking some of the very important aspects of Genoa. Like he said previously, the Spianata. He's elevated this very like massive platform above the ground plane, and having this double layer of public space, parkscapes, and I think that's very successfully done. And the Molo area, currently only about half of it is open to the public, and that has been a very recent change. So this whole area in which we were tasked to create this cruise ship terminal right now is actually an industrial area that doesn't have any access to for the public to see, which is very sad, because as you guys can see, it's a waterfront area, and you're kind of limiting.
You're open to the entire Mediterranean Sea, which is a great view.
It's a great view, and it really sucks that they're cutting it off for you, right? The only area that's open is the area that faces Genoa. And as he said, that elongated building, which is the Molo, that is pretty much the only spaces of commercial and public use throughout the whole piece of land.
Yeah, man. I think this idea of not only elevation change and like, I guess like a landscape integration is really nice to see. You drew inspiration from Yokohama Port Terminal, and you made those landscape changes to kind of like bring the public in to, like you said, a traditionally barren place. So I guess kind of like rebranding or like editing the typology of what the port terminal is as like a more of a communal space, or like a multifaceted structure, I think is a beautiful idea, and something that's buildings are going to have to do that in the future, kind of reclaim other forms and typologies, so that we can get the most out of these structures that do sit dormant for a large majority of the year. So great on you for that, man.
Yeah, and something that I didn't bring up, thinking about it now, elevating that structure is also, since we were tasked with working with landscape designers, we were supposed to kind of create an intervention for sea level rise. Obviously that's a impending situation that we're going to have to deal with in the future.
Right.
And, having this elevated structure would help mitigate that ordeal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, man. This was a great presentation. We appreciate you coming on and sharing your work.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I hope this was useful for everyone thinking about architecture or working on their architectural thesis. We're going to be having more people coming onto the series, so all of you can see what a successful master's thesis looks like.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anytime.